personal interest as well. Let me just get rid of that.
Okay, thank you. Итак, отмеченные наградами первоисточников для обучения и исследований — это все программы, также Центра поддержки онлайн-обучения, программы вебинаров, и Адамэки владеет всеми архивами по множеству коллекций произведений.
So here is just a few examples of some of the archives and libraries that we work with, just to give you a sense of the international scope of our collections and also the diverse range of libraries and archives that we work with. So from all over the world. We do have a focus on UK and US, but we're certainly broadening our horizons and expanding and working with more European and African archives as well. And we're always very happy to talk about additional content and additional libraries and archives that would be willing to work with us as well.
Okay, thank you. Итак, мы работаем с Соединенными Штатами, Соединенным Королевством, также распространяемся на Европу, так как большинство архивов довольно широкие, и взаимодействие с регионами довольно-таки глубокое, поэтому коллекция периодически обновляются. Okay, thank you.
Great. Yeah, and then in terms of the subject themes, so you're all trialing AM Explorer, which is our sort of core digital portfolio. So you have access to all of the resources covering all these subject themes that you can see here. So it's a really diverse spread in terms of subject matter, but also in terms of time periods. So we have collections from medieval, early modern time, right up to the 21st century, almost to the present day. So it's a really broad time frame as well as a really broad subject area. You can see on these this slide here how many different types of subject we are focusing on. I mean, it's primarily humanities and social sciences, but within that it's pretty much every aspect of those subject areas.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Итак, на данном слайде мы с вами можем увидеть, что разнообразие предметных областей довольно-таки большое. Среди них как исследования различных географических регионов, исторических, исследования культур, империи, глобализм, этнические исследования, половые, история, литература, политика, театр, войны. Соответственно, предметных областей довольно много, и разграничить поиск материалов можно будет также по ним, об этом чуть позже будет. Okay, thank you.
Great. And then carrying on from that sort of diverse range of subjects, we also have a really broad range of material within the collections. You know, it's not just books and photographs. We have audiovisual material, videos, films, also lots of maps and postcards and personal material as well. So a lot of our collections take a more personal tone as well, and there'll be diaries and letters, as well as then our Archives Direct portal, for example, which is government files from the National Archives in the UK, so diplomatic dispatches and government material as well, covering Britain on the global stage. This is a pretty comprehensive list here of all the different types of material within the resource, and it's important to highlight that diversity of material, and as I'll show you in the demonstration, the different ways you can search that material.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Итак, данный слайд показывает, что довольно много типов по материалам, по которым предоставляется контент, ресурс. Это как печатные книги, детские поп-ап книги, соответственно, заметки с музыкой, да, то есть есть может быть сопровождение к электронному ресурсу. также объекты в виде 360 градусов, устные истории, также дипломатические государственные файлы, иллюстрации, картинки, рисунки, редкие рукописи, фильмы, книги в виде подсказок, торговые записки для продаж, карты, фотографии, кулинарные книги, меню, деловые записи, реклама, газеты, периодические издания, дневники, письма, брошюры, сайты, какие-либо ранее современные печатные пластинки, болевые записи с этномузыкологии, радиопередачи, театральные фотографии, афиши, программы, исследования по рынку, торговые карты, а также больничные отчеты, могут быть журналы, открытки. Список довольно большой. Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Great, thank you. And yeah, so on to AM Explorer. So this is our sort of subscription platform that you're all currently trialing. We've made 12-week trials available, and I think most of you are in the sort of early stages of those trials, which is great. It's basically a subscription to our core digital portfolio. So all of our collections published up to the end of last year, and then each January of your subscription, the previous year's collections will be added. So new collections are added each year, and it's really a one platform with a federated search across all of our resources. So all the resources you'll have access to.
Okay, thank you very much. Итак, подписка у нас ежегодно обновляется, соответственно, ресурсы обновляются, и материал обновляется, то есть у вас есть подписка, значит, вы можете видеть все загружаемые новые материалы, и это великолепно, потому что апдейт постоянно происходит, то есть ничто не зависает на одном и том же уровне касательно материалов и ресурсов.
Great. And before the demonstration, I just wanted to give you a few sort of statistics that you can see here, pretty self-explanatory, just to highlight the large number of collections available. So prior to AM Explorer, these collections were only available as an individual purchase. So by making this platform, it's become much more accessible for a wider range of universities and libraries to have access to our collections. And that includes over 30 million images, 118 digital individual collections, and 258,000 audiovisual minutes. And as I mentioned, with the new collections being added each January, this number is sort of continuously going up. So there's always, each year there'll be new material for you.
Okay, thank you very much, great. Итак, контент довольно-таки обширный, и мы можем увидеть данную статистику, что 13,3 по миллиону страниц, 118 цифровых коллекций, 258 тысяч по аудиовизуальным материалам. Стоит отметить, что в связи с обновлением ежегодным по контенту, то есть каждый январь стабильно происходит апдейт контента, и цифры растут. То есть тут приведена статистика на текущий момент. Okay, thank you.
Great, so I'll go now to the live demonstration. I think if I stop sharing and then start sharing again in a second. And yeah, as I said, any questions, please do ask.
Да, уважаемые коллеги, все вопросы, пожалуйста, в чат-бокс, и мы на них ответим.
Great. So can you see the screen now with the AM Explorer homepage?
А вот и экран с главной страницей по AM Explorer, навигация по поиску.
Great. Yeah. So this is the sort of opening landing page of the platform, which you're probably all familiar with. now that your trial has started, you can search here in the taskbar here, where this will search the whole platform, so all the collections. Oh, does someone have a question? No.
Oh,
I'll carry on. That's fine.
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So this is sort of a kind of jumping off point for if you're starting quite a sort of broad search. You can also search by the collections here. So if I go to this, and this just is a very simple page listing every single individual collection that you have access to through AM Explorer, and that you can search across the whole platform. If I just scroll down to show you the different types of collections and also the themes here, so the themes that we looked at in the PowerPoint a few minutes ago, and also the time period and the region, so you can filter your search fairly specifically and then start doing a more detailed search within the collection. And then,
just say a couple of words.
Please do.
Итак, поиск возможен в панели поисковой строке, то есть по тому, что мы уже знаем, или по ключевым словам. Также можно искать в выпадающем списке по коллекциям отдельно. Есть фильтрация по темам, также по периоду, как мы ранее смотрели на предыдущих слайдах, также по регионам. Это один из самых простых видов поиска, именно поиск по коллекции, то есть он дает нам конкретные ссылки. Okay, thank you.
Great, and so I'll just show you a couple of ways to search, just some examples here. So so this will search the whole platform, so all of the collections, and it's quite a nice way if you're searching for something quite specific, but your search is quite broad. You can see which different collections the search term is found in, and it can bring up some really unexpected and interesting results as well. So you can see here there's 11,500 results for Shakespeare, and then down the sidebar it shows how many results in each collection. So there's some quite surprising inclusions here, which is always really interesting. I'll go to Empire Online, and then you can then filter down. So if I'm just interested in Empire Online.
Итак, в данной строке мы произвели поиск по ключевому слову Шекспир, и мы видим, что 11 тысяч с лишним результатов по поиску нам выдал поисковик, и конкретно выпадающие строки по фильтрам, по коллекциям, их множество. Вот мы выбрали одну из коллекций и можем видеть результаты по поиску.
And something else I wanted to mention is that there's the list view, which you're seeing now, and then the frequency. And this just shows, which is also very useful if you're looking for a specific time period. You can see how many documents there are for your search term. So here it would be Shakespeare at what times. So there's the documents and then the number of search terms, which is really interesting as well. And you can see, and this is just within Empire Online, but if I had looked at that tab when I searched across all the collections, it would show every result in every collection. So it's again a useful way to see to scale down your search.
Итак, если зайти, мы были во вкладке по списку, если зайти во вкладку по статистике, можно увидеть по конкретной коллекции, сколько было совершено по поиску данной коллекции, то есть это хорошая информация.
Great. So I'll just go into a document and show you how it's displayed. So here you have all the metadata, and this is all searchable as well. And then this will take you directly to the Empire Online resource and the document with the search results highlighted at the bottom, which you can see here. And then you can expand on the title, so you can see again all the metadata, where the book has come from, the source archive, the date, the type of material. So this is a printed book. You have the option to search within this document, this book itself. And yeah, just to show you the extent of the metadata that's included in the archives. You can hide this as well, so you don't need to see it all.
Так, если провалиться в документ Empire Online конкретный, который мы сейчас рассматриваем, можно увидеть в верхней строке в формате, соответственно, постранично PDF, как выглядит файл. И также можно открыть, посмотреть строчку с деталями, соответственно, также описание, ключевые слова, то есть вся полная информация по документу находится именно здесь.
And then if you wanted to see where your search terms were found, you can click into the hits below. This should take you right into the document, and the search term is highlighted as well, so you know exactly where you're looking for on the page. And then you have quite a few options with what you can do with the documents. So I'll go back to the main document page, but you can see here you can download the entire document, so you can download the whole book to read offline. Students often find this particularly helpful, so they can take something away, print it out, use it for their studies without having to be in front of the computer. You can also download an image range. So if you're only interested in the introduction, you can just download that and look at that. There's also an option to add it to my archive. So that's your own personal repository. So each student, each librarian, if they wish, can set up their own archival sort of personal account where they can save documents to go back to at a later date. So if a student was working on a project, they could save all the material they were looking at in one place, not have to redo the search each time. So that's also very, very helpful for students who are building a sort of portfolio of documents that they want to work on. And then the citation, which again also very useful for students and researchers. So each document has its own citation, and you can export that in the different types of tools, so Zotero, RefWorks, and EndNote. Obviously, we advise to check for accuracy, but that's very helpful to have that information there for the students.
Okay, thank you. Итак, можно скачать, выгрузить документ. Также можно посмотреть, на какой именно странице было найдено данное ключевое слово, соответственно, в PDF-формате по страничной версии данного документа. Также можно сохранить документ к себе в архивы. Для тех, кто активно пользуется какими-либо материалами по работе, это довольно полезный тул, то есть чтобы всегда можно было к нему вернуться позже, например. И также можно посмотреть вкладку цитирования. Она может быть полезной многим, кто имеет с этим дело, либо просто для информации. Также можно выгрузить в виде картинок PDF, да, выбрав формат. Вот, соответственно, здесь опций несколько. Okay, thank you.
Great. Yeah, so within each resource, I'll just speak quite quickly about this, each resource is slightly different, but we also have essays and chronologies, which really set the scene, especially for students who are perhaps less familiar with the resources themselves. So each of the individual collections within AIM Explorer has an editorial board, and they will write essays to contribute, to sit alongside the primary source archival content to contextualize the material, which has been very helpful for students. We also have the advanced search and the popular search options, which again, for those coming to the collections without much prior experience, it's a great way to get into the material and have a little bit of guidance. I'll just show you the popular search as an example, which is helpful for students.
Yeah, thank you. Итак, можно увидеть, что в нескольких вкладках выше есть разброс по разделам, то есть это введение, можно посмотреть отдельно, зайти в него по данному документу, документы, которые связаны с конкретным материалом, эссе, которые были проведены по нему, хронологии, и, соответственно, прочие ресурсы, ссылки также доступны в верхней вкладке. Если вдруг нужен поиск, либо помощь по вопросу, соответственно, также он доступен.
Great. So I will go back to the main page and show you a couple of other examples just to show the different types of content and different types of material. So if I type in Napoleon here, this will show you a result using our HTR, which is the handwritten text recognition functionality, which is available in a lot of our manuscript material collections and all of our new forthcoming manuscript collections as well. So that gives you the opportunity. Obviously, the OCR search has been available for a long time, but HTR is still relatively new and has really changed the way students and researchers are able to use these manuscript materials digitally to help them to really speed up their search and help them find what they're looking for.
Вот, например, поиск по ключевому слову «Наполеон», и смотрим с вами материалы по выбранному типу манускрипты, рукописи. Вот можно провалиться в конкретный документ.
Great. So this is our 19th Century Literary Society collection, which is the John Murray Publishing Archives from the National Library of Scotland. And again, you'll see that the layout of each collection is very similar, which also really helps with usability and functionality as well. Once you've used one collection, it's very easy to go on and use all the others. You have the metadata here again, and the keywords, so you can jump to the different results for these people and the keywords as well, which is particularly helpful. And I'll just show you you can see here, this is where you can search the handwritten text of this document. So once you're in the document, you can search any of the manuscript within, and I'll show you here how it's highlighted.
Итак, мы с вами просматриваем документ по литературному обществу XIX века. Можно увидеть в деталях, также провалиться в конкретную страницу формата картинки, где подчеркнуто ключевое слово, которое мы смотрели, Наполеон.
Great. So this is, you can see the manuscript here. This is actually a document in French. And all the instances of Napoleon have been highlighted within the text. And you can search again within the document here. You have the same options in terms of adding to your archive, downloading the image. And again, the tools that I mentioned in the previous example apply here as well.
Итак, по типу, соответственно, можно увидеть, что есть также фокусировка на детали, на тип выгрузки документа. Можно сохранить документ себе в архив, посмотреть ключевые слова и значения, также посмотреть типы по поиску.
Yeah, so that's the HTR, and as I said, that's available in the majority of our manuscript document collections now, and is being added to all of our new manuscript material. I'll go back again. I'll take you back to the main page, and this time I'll go and go directly into a collection. So one of the really interesting features of a lot of our collections are the oral histories. So they're interviews, recordings, sometimes video, sometimes audio visual of people's lived experiences. And that's something that, you know, proves to be increasingly valuable and increasingly important when looking at primary sources. So I'll show you an example of that in our African American Communities collection.
Так, посмотрим коллекцию African American Communities, конкретный пример.
Yeah, so the oral histories. So as I said, again, you have all the same list of documents here and search options, but I'll go straight to the oral histories. You have an option for the audio or the video, and I'll just show you how it's presented, so you can see how easy it is to listen.
Итак, это устный формат, соответственно, презентации, то есть можем посмотреть, как выглядит, что довольно-таки легко прослушать данный материал.
Yeah, so this is the interview. I won't play the interview, but you can see here that it's also transcribed, so it's very easy to read it along if you're less confident with the audio, and also there's a helpful summary, again containing all the additional data here, which the length of the recording, the library that it has been sourced from, and who the interview is with, and the themes and the keywords. And if you go back to the transcript, you can also search that. So if you were to come across this recording, for example, and you remembered that there was something in there that you were wanting to find, you can search that within the transcript. You don't have to go through the recording again. And you can also create clips of, you know, as with the downloading the whole document, you can download, sort of create clips of little bits of the recording, if that was what you were trying to do.
Так, к данному аудиоматериалу прилагаются скрипты по тексту, соответственно, в помощь. Также прилагается краткое summary по материалу. Можно также делать, соответственно, перемотку, сохранить к себе в архив документ, посмотреть цитирование, выгрузить. То есть в этом плане также удобно работать с материалом.
Great, and then I'll just show you more of a sort of overview of the documents. Each one is fairly similar, but you have an overview, the nature and scope, which I'll go to here, which will give you a sort of introduction to this collection that you're looking at. It will give you some more information about the source archives, the libraries that we've worked with, and it will also contain a selection of documents that our editorial team have found particularly interesting, particularly that have highlighted particular themes to them. And again, that's similar to the essays I mentioned earlier, a really good way for students to be introduced to the collections if they're less familiar with them. And then you can look at all the documents together in each collection here, and you have the options to filter. So you can really filter very specifically by different document type. You can also filter by library and archive. So if you were just looking for something from the Newbury Library, for example, you just need to click that there. You can filter by theme and by actual collection. So there are really many different ways that you can narrow down your search or broaden your search depending on the interest.
Окей. Итак, можем посмотреть пример материалов по введению, соответственно, верхние вкладки по выпадающим строкам. Там дано полное overview по материалу. Также можно смотреть по типам документов. Это довольно-таки также удобный вид поиска. То есть смотря, опять же, какие документы интересуют. Okay, we have one question. I think it's better to answer after the webinar, right?
Yeah, I can see that question. Yeah, I've almost finished. So then I'd be very happy to have a look at that. Great. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could go on all day showing you different examples and different collections because there's so many of them and they're so diverse and so broad. But that's a real snapshot into the collections that are available to you during your trial, which I hope is helpful. I just wanted to show you some additional resources that are available to you during the trial, but also at any time if you're interested to find out a little bit more. So we have a library support section, which is where we can advise you on anything really that you're interested in knowing. But specifically the webinars are a really useful way of learning a bit more about the specific collections, but also about some of the different functionality. So the AM Explorer ones that we have here, the first one, a librarian's perspective, might be particularly interesting because these are with librarians who have already subscribed to AM Explorer and they're discussing how they would teach using the platform. And then an overview of the collections that were added this year as well in the AM Explorer in 2021 section.
Итак, несмотря на то, что большинство материалов доступно в рамках тестового доступа вам, я бы также рекомендовала посмотреть определенные вебинары. Да, пусть это, например, вебинары по взгляду со стороны работников библиотек, да, то есть этот материал может быть полезен по Automatic Explorer. Вот, его можно найти на платформе. Материал довольно полезный.
Great, and I think you know, I'm very happy to go to the questions now, if that's, unless there are any specific searches you'd like me to do or anything specific that you'd like me to highlight. I'm happy to go and look at the questions.
Итак, у нас есть еще 5-7 минут на вопросы. Итак, первый вопрос от Лилии Сидоренко мы видим. Okay, Catherine, and you can also see this question, right? About...
Yes. Let me have a look, hang on.
Yeah.
Great, well, thank you for the question. That's really helpful to see. In terms of the collections to present to first year students, I would really say any of them really. It really depends on the subject matter that's of interest to the students, and also the sort of type of class, I suppose, that you're working with. Something like the First World War collection is very accessible. So if it was first year students, as you mentioned, probably one of those collections that has that's used more for teaching rather than for research, I would say. And that's a huge collection focusing on the First World War, but focusing not just on the sort of practicalities and realities of war, but the personal experiences and the global perspective as well. So that's a really good kind of broad collection to start with, I would say. And then, oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, okay, you can continue.
Yeah, I just thought if I go through these, and then in terms of latest research, so these collections are all primary source archives, so they're all digital historical databases. The most contemporary ones do go up to the early 21st century. So we published a mass observation project collection, which is sort of British cultural history that goes up to the third module will go up to 2010, I think it is, and then we will be digitizing additional material beyond that. But it's important to note that these are primary source documents rather than new work being published, if you see what I mean. And then in terms of the material, the vast majority, I have to admit, is in English. And we do have material in other languages. So there's quite a lot of French material in the First World War collection that I mentioned. We have quite a lot of Spanish language material in our food and drink collections and our more Age of Exploration and colonial Caribbean, there's the documents as well. But it would be, it would be fair for me to say that the majority is in English, and we're certainly looking to work with more foreign language material, and that's something that we're really hoping to do in the next few years. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Catherine. Итак, в целом по коллекциям, которые можно было рекомендовать студентам, первокурсникам, можно посмотреть по поиску различных коллекций по литературе. Опять же, например, студенты изучают определенный период, да, по литературе или по языку, и, соответственно, можно ориентироваться на коллекции того периода и выбрать для себя и для студентов интересующую одну из и представить ее. Довольно-таки хорошая получилась бы презентация. Что касается последних научных исследований, публикаций для молодых ученых, то тут, в принципе, доступны публикации по 2020 году. Но что касается, конечно, 2021 года, то тут база данных обновляется, соответственно, раз за разом будут поступать новые материалы. То есть это нужно просматривать. Они на стадии, можно сказать, публикации. Касательно последнего вопроса, да, также ресурсы, материалы доступны. Контент доступен также и на французском, например, на испанском языках, по многим коллекциям. Это можно также найти на платформе. Если есть еще какие-либо вопросы, пожалуйста, задавайте. Спасибо вам всем за участие. Если вдруг появятся вопросы после вебинара, пишите нам на почту support@100k20.ru. Мы в течение дня, максимум 2, вам ответим. Запись вебинара также пришлем вам на имейлы. Если будет какая-либо проблема с тестовым доступом, также обращайтесь к нам, мы ее решим. Так, если сейчас вопросов нет, мы, пожалуй, завершим запись. Thank you very much, Catherine. It was a great presentation. And
good. Thank you. And also, I hope everything is going well with the trials. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm sure you probably just said this, Lilith, but do get in touch. We're happy to answer more specific questions over email and give more guidance as well during the trial period.
Yeah, thank you very much. So have a nice day.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Всем спасибо большое. Всем хорошего дня. Остаемся на связи. Всего доброго.